that you'd like to know more about our strategy for increased overhead that's going to come with our building and paid staff. And I wanted to briefly address that today by letting you know that we have now implemented strategies that I have learned from conversations with you, John Damel, and many other people in this room. We have people in place to pay. We need to have the space for them to work. We are working with major fundraising efforts that are in action and implementing a multifaceted effort right now. We've never gone about getting grants, but we are in the process now. We're quick to learn. We pay attention. We're hardworking. We're creative and determined. And we are making it happen. We have been meeting with a fundraising team that is spearheaded by Tara Gagney, who has fundraising experience raising millions of dollars for TSIS and for Honduran missions. And our team is growing weekly. We're meeting regularly and we are writing grants. We are meeting with corporate people. We're strategizing and we are building our bank account to support the design that we have for our program to advance. We have an appointment with the Community Foundation in early October on how they can partner with us to support our mission. We haven't even reached into the deep pockets that exist yet, but our fundraising team has been strategically planning what needs to be done to grow the way that we need to grow. And we're entering into contract as we speak today. I'm so excited that we're signing papers and exchanging the check for our building at 536 Bayshore Drive, which is where we're going to house our future office. All of our planning and efforts have been fruitful and they are going to continue to be fruitful. We have a meeting with the community on September 21st to address rezoning concerns, followed by the meeting that has to happen with the committee and then city council in order to get our permits and our zoning adjusted. We have a contractor engaged and an architect. Our contractor is ready to work November 15th. He expects that within 60 days, give or take, we should be able to take occupancy of a section of our building so that we can be up and running and not having overlapping payments for our current building and this new building. And about 6 more months to complete our building, which would put us about mid-July. And now we all know nothing ever finishes on schedule. So we'll give a little wiggle room of a couple months in there, but that puts us to completion well before the end of 2024. We are excited. You can probably tell by the fact that I'm shaking standing here. Things are happening fast. And I just wanted to be able to share that update with you guys and to let you know we're the new kid on the block where you're concerned, but we've been doing since 2009. And now we're learning how to incorporate that into the world that you guys are living in. And I just thank you for that opportunity and so grateful for each of you for listening and your support. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, grab me later.
Where is Bayshore Drive?
Bayshore Drive is on the corner of Bay and Bayshore, real close to the railroad near Day by Day's new location there. That's and the Hooper Community Center building is on that same block.
Executive Damel.
Yeah, I appreciate the conversations we've had.
Yes.
And I appreciate your vision. I appreciate what you do. And one of the challenges that I remember when we talked about it was housing some of these sex traffic survivors and how it's hard to fit them into certain populations. So we talked about if they go to Christine Ann, they tend to recruit. If they go to Day by Day, they tend to be recruited. They're vulnerable there.
Correct.
And this project doesn't have any kind of temporary housing, but is this something that you eventually want to grow into?
The long and short answer is absolutely. And this project that we're discussing does not have anything in that category. However, in a parallel project that's happening right now, led by Cheryl Marciniak from Oak Homes, we are partnering with them and she is looking at property within the community right now. She will be overseeing implementation of programming and services in a residential setting that will offer immediate assessment housing of up to 120 days for women who've been trafficked or sexually exploited in our community. And they will operate in partnership with us and we will share services.
Then my second question is, this facility or this office or this greater resource would help you to facilitate that?
We couldn't do it without it. And as a matter of fact, just to expand on that with just a sentence or two of thought, our current office is in the 404 building, venue 404. I don't know how many of you have seen how beautiful that venue is. We've been blessed to have our office there since late 2017, but their business is growing for the wedding venue, and they need our office space so they can tear down walls and expand their venue space. So by the end of the year, just to add fuel to the fire for us, by the end of the year, they're going to be taking over 25% of our office space, and then we'll only have a couple months after that to be there. And happy for them because they've been doing all the right things and their business is growing. But their building is also full to the point where we don't have another space in there that we can ship to, which means that we've had to work diligently to get this plan moving and in a timely fashion. And we cannot continue without the support of the community. And so
And that leads me to one final question. You cannot have your offices open while they're performing a wedding venue, correct?
correct. We have very limited access to our office at this point because of the success of their business. Great for them, not so much for us. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Conley Hanson, Supervisor, District 26. I'm anxious to hear the discussion in today's meeting. I am hoping to see some resolutions advance very quickly. I would respectfully ask that each project is done individually and not grouped. I would also like to suggest that any administration goes through a department head of the county rather than just a check to an organization, so that it can be administered and accountable through the county. I want to reiterate Kay Horan's comments, and also a concern that some have brought to me. Many of the people or the organizations on this list that are requesting spirit funds have received monies already from the county, administered through whatever department, say for example, Human Services. Please keep that in mind, that there is a thought that there might be some double dipping, and I would ask that that be avoided, please. That's all. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Jim Peglow, Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue, 125 East Columbia Drive, or East Columbia Street, Neenah. Talking about our training tower project. Thank you so much for looking at this. And this training tower, we currently have a training tower at our Station 31, which is on 1080 Breezewood Lane. And this training facility is pushing 25 years old. We currently use it for all of our training needs. The City of Neenah Police Department uses it. City of Menasha Police Department, Winnebago County Sheriff's Department SWAT team has used it a number of times, usually once or twice annually for training. It's a 3-story building. We have 2 burn rooms in it. We have ability to go rappelling off the 3rd floor. We have the ability to practice breaking windows going into buildings, whether it's for law enforcement or firefighting. This is a building that once we inherited from Fox Valley Tech, this was their training facility initially. And when they left and went to their new facility, the city inherited it, Neenah Menasha Fire inherited it, and we have shared this facility with, I think it was about 9 other agencies within the county, from volunteer fire departments, paid on call fire departments, police departments, sheriff's departments. I have one letter of support already in hand. I've got 4 other letters of support that they've committed to verbally, and they'll be sending in. So I guess I would appreciate any support. Any questions, feel free to ask. And then I think Deputy Chief Krieger would like to.
Shane Krieger, also from the Neenah Menasha Fire. I just wanted to add to it that we've been coming to these meetings, and since the last time we were at the meeting, there was a storm that hit the training area. So there's 3 buildings or 3 uses on that facility, and 2 of the 3 have been destroyed. One of the facilities that we were starting to construct was using some business grant monies to build a facility to afford for opportunities for departments, for staff to learn how to do fire investigations. So we had an insurance company that was supporting that build. About the time you get ready to go, the storm comes through and literally destroyed it. So we're kind of stuck in this spot with the training facility because it can't be just funded by 2 cities if we're looking to spread it out amongst the counties. So that's why we wrote for the grant. And we recognize the daunting task that you have in front of you, and we just wanted to come and give you a little update on the facilities and what our challenges are. So thank you very much.
The way the scope of the project was written, we couldn't quite tell if the request was money for training or for the building. So you're saying it's for the facility. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had the same question, and I had our director of emergency management, our Crassus, reach out. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk with him. But yeah, no, he assured me this is for the facility. I thought $1 million for training was quite expensive, since 18,000 covered Fox Crossing last year. But no, it made sense. He also assured me that the township fire departments come do training there. Oshkosh has done training there. There's not a fire district in Winnebago County that hasn't used that at some point in the last 25 years.
Right.
Right.
You know, probably from Oshkosh north, you know, south of Oshkosh, it's a travel. I mean, we're open for anybody to come and use it, but it's a travel commitment. So.
All right, and then the one question that I have, that if we decide to push this forward and the board decides to approve funding for this project, would there be any consideration of any kind of a nominal fee of a fire district that maybe is outside of Winnebago County, or is that something that you would not consider?
That'd be your.
I would say we definitely are open to that. You know, the concept is to be open to use the facility. But yeah, if it's funded and we have somebody outside of those funds coming in to use it, you know, why not have them help invest back into it so we can keep maintaining the facility?
Currently, we do have an MOU in place, a memo of understanding. Anybody that uses the facility has to carry their own liability insurance, and that they agree to, if there's any damage, which I know it's hard to say, how do you damage a building that start on fire all the time? I can do it.
You can.
But we have that memo out there that any damage or consumables that are used are at each individual department's responsibility for actions.
Anyone else out there wishing to speak to us at this time? Seeing anyone on Zoom wishing to speak to the commission? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone on Zoom? Not seeing any, we'll consider that part closed. Next on the agenda is approval of the August 31st meetings.
So moved.
Motion made second for the approval of the August 31st minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Disapproved, say nay. Carried. This time I've asked Paul to give us an update on the 145 Spirit Fund, not to go over the whole thing again, just to those that have gone ahead and gotten it, where we're at on it, and this and that, not to talk about it, get into a full discussion on it.
Okay, so this was handed out for the meeting. Something I put together to try to keep track of which municipalities are where. City of Menasha, Town of Monroe, Town of Rutherford, and Town of Winchester have all been sent their $145,000 and have received it. All of the ones in yellow are at certain different stages of that. I had an exchange of an email with Town of Black Wolf this morning on they want to do their project using county funds. They wanted to just deduct it from their invoice, and I said no. The proper like everybody else is doing. So I can either reimburse you if you want to pay, or I can pay the county, but you still need to tell me what you want to do with it and give me the approval from your government body. So this is the form I'm going to continue to keep up to date and bring to every meeting, let everybody know where we are. I did send out an email, I believe it was on Tuesday, to all the municipalities, again, reiterating if you need help, if you have questions, call me, let me know. I got probably about 3 or 4 emails back from that email. But there are still the ones in red I've not heard anything from whatsoever. So I'm not sending it. A couple of them I had the wrong contact or needed to update the contact. So if anybody has any better information or any different contacts, please contact, let me know. Or the town.
Talked to the town of Utica 2 nights ago, and they said theirs was in the mail. They had signed it at their, so you should be getting that right shortly. And so. Any other questions on this? All I wanted to just update. Thank you very much, Paul. Yes. Okay, discussion on regarding strategy, prioritizing criteria for project assessment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm ready. So I want you to turn your project things over so you're not looking at them. You've got how many million? 30 million-ish in projects, so we have to whittle it down to 9 million-ish. And so typically we would look at a strategic plan or strategic priorities to figure out what the priorities of the county is set forth for what we're doing, where we're moving, how we're going. So since we don't have those, we have to figure out what other governing body or governing information we have to use. So you all know the mission of Winnebago County? Supervisors, you all know the mission. Do you have any idea what the premise of the mission? That's the city of Ashland.
No, that's our logo. Way for the future.
Well, the logo.
Tagline.
So the mission for Winnebago County. So if you go on the Winnebago County website, you go to the little site links thing and do a drop down about us at the very bottom of the page. It shows this is the county's mission as a whole. So it's to economically and efficiently provide and manage delivery systems for diverse programs and services to meet basic human needs. So that's kind of the main thing that we have to go by for how to the county. What is basic? What's your thought on basic human needs? What does that cover?
Shelter.
My thoughts as I got here, meeting basic human needs is probably the lowest bar we could set as a county. Just my personal thought.
Anything else?
Medical assistance. Some form of medical assistance.
Medical safety.
Safety for sure.
Pardon?
Police and fire and safety, that's probably not the purpose.
All right. I am reiterating, I am beating this dead horse. So it is very clear that the resolution that was passed April 5th, 167-012023, line 44 says within any of the following categories within the framework document created by the ARPA Strategy and Outcomes Commission. We had 3 categories. One was non-governmental, and that was struck, and all the money was put into the county government projects. At no point was the resolution to say anywhere, we agree not to fund nonprofits. So because of this, that's the only reason that I'm still in this game, is because the supervisors took out this, but yet these government identified community projects would also include community projects. So line 29 said the funds are going to be spent in the spirit of ARPA and to improve resiliency in our community as permitted by the ARPA laws and regulations. So that is what I'm going by. If for some reason it gets passed or approved that nonprofits will not be funded, that's okay. I will excuse myself and we can just move on. But the only reason I keep staying in here is because there's a change. So we get the premise of county government projects. Those come from the executive's office. They're run and completed by the executive's office. And they're not a wall. But government identified community projects is listed in that framework document as projects that are identified by the commission and are intended to be a collaboration between county departments and communities. But we haven't defined what collaboration means. So that's what you all get to do today. Define what collaboration means to you. Is it like Conley said, only organizations that get payments? Do they have to have an MOU? Is it they share clients? Define that, because that will help us define what projects fit in that category. So what is collaboration?
No, I agree. I think one of the points made at the last board meeting by Supervisor Stafford was, if we're gonna put a project towards the board, we need to clearly define how it works for the department. I think that was a valid thing. I think how we got to here is we wanted to be transparent and we wanted the public to see every single application that came in. So obviously there's quite a few of these that don't match the county mission whatsoever. We didn't want to discredit anything. I don't believe this commission didn't want to discredit any of those things. That being said, some of these projects do align with their county mission. Mm-hmm. When I think of the neighborhood improvement grant, for example, for funding the homeless shelter, if that didn't exist, that is a game that we are in. The Human Services has to open up emergency shelters in situations like that. It helps us to complete our mission. Same thing with veteran services. When we have a vet staying at the homeless shelter, they are helping us to complete our mission. There are a lot of these things that help with the economic support that are a part of our safety net that aren't necessarily government rope, if you understand the analogy. So I agree with the government identified projects being something that helps one of our departments, one of our core missions, to accomplish their goal, their eternal goal.
Okay. Any other thoughts? But to what level? How do you define help? We have a mutual client. We'll let you come in and talk to them. Is that helping? Or is that just they happen to be there and they let you in? That's what feels like we're getting stuck. Because I think everyone could say, well, I think you could make a case for anyone that helps because it's for the good of the county, and when people are healthy and safe and happy and get all their services, it's the good of the county. But I think we have to define a little more deeply.
I guess I would say on that part there anyways, if they help, if there's a project being run out of there for the county, like say for veterans or anything on that order, that has to do with the county, then that would be something that we should be looking into definitely, because if they, what we say, a building, I'm going to say a building that is being used and there's like 3, 4 or more projects that is being worked up with the county that go through that building, but all of a sudden there isn't that building available, what happens if all them projects left out?
Yeah, nothing more.
There's something there.
Well, I could.
If you take, yeah, you can see the wheelchair. If you take basic human needs, you drill down to the individual, and you take a look at that individual bearing his need, whether it's indigent, they're indigent, or whether they're aged, they need help in some way. And where they get it from, whether it is through the county or through a particular nonprofit, that the county is making sure that the money is spent properly, because nonprofits work through the county and work through the state. If at that point they're getting their needs fixed up in some way or another, it's developing our mission and handling our mission. But it's each individual that we have parked over at Parkview. It's each individual that is over at the day by day. It's each individual that we put on this list in any kind of form, whether it's not a nonprofit form or a county form, it is still the individual that we're looking at helping. And that's our mission. Each resident of the county.
But we need to stop looking at the vehicle or the delivery system and start looking at the individual.
I don't disagree with the premise, but we have $33.8 million, around 34 million plus. Not $1 of that was meant to augment the county's budget to fulfill the county's mission. We have tax collection, we have a budget, we have department heads, they fulfill the mission. We have $34 million to, I was hoping initially to extend what we do outside of that mission, and as Tim said the other day, to do some things that are special and create a legacy, and things that would never ever come into a budget, like the normal budget for operating expenses and everything that for capital expenses that we spend every year. So I'm fine with your motivation, but if we have things we can do that we couldn't ever have done within a county budget, and we only have this chance in our lifetimes to do this. I guess I didn't say anything, but that was my theory here.
Hope so.
Well, if we put it in a budget in 2 years, you guys are in big trouble. So
No, I'm saying we hope that we never have this money.
oh right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think another thing, maybe, and forgive me, Tom, because we're going to go back to the mission here, but economically and efficiently provide and manage delivery systems for diverse programs. Some of these projects make it easier for us to do some of our programs with that capital purchase. The fire tower, for example, emergency management can go and do trainings there at a cost that we wouldn't have to build that. When I think of the Damascus Road process, that gives us another place for us to come and help connect some of our economic services that we have, and some of the programs that our social workers carry. It gives us a resource to get out in the county to deliver those services. One that wasn't talked about, but is here, the Amarillo Area Community Center. I mean, we use that to bring our veteran services offices to Amarillo. We use that for some of our aging and disability programs to do. That is a space that we lost, that we wouldn't have to build an office in Amarillo to continue to expand our mission and do that. And I understand that wouldn't be in a normal operating budget for us to do. Right, and it's a capital thing that allows us to do that. And I think that's how that ties to the government identified projects.
Okay, so then you came up on that same framework with the overarching requirements. And a lot of these programs fit all 4 of them, but we've never prioritized to be able to pick out, okay, that's the one thing we want to make sure they all fit. So then what Legacy said, it's multi-generational or to improve quality of life for years to come. So why is that important? What's the significance of that?
You can use all those colors.
Okay. Not yellow. No, I know.
Back to what was said, that, you know, this is a one-time funding opportunity that we have, that we want to make sure that it's spent effectively. And you use the land and water thing. That might be, in my opinion, one of the most important things that we do, because that's going to go on for generations to come, protecting our assets here. One of the most important are our waterways. So I'm similar to Tom. Just
Okay.
Agree or disagree with printing the $4 trillion? That's cost market inflation that is going to be with us for a long time. House values are not going to drop anytime soon. Eggs are cheaper, but butter is still up there. So the effects of that are going to be generational. So I think any investment with these dollars needs to match at least the effects of that. For the money to be gone and us still feeling the pain, personally would be a travesty.
Okay. Money needs to be used to match, because our grandkids are going to be paying for this. Or your neighbor's grandkids. Would that summarize? Because this is.
Talk about generational investment somewhere in here.
Mm-hmm.
When you detailed the language in Resolution 167, did it not say that the money needs to be spent in the spirit of the ARPA funding?
Yep. So if you go on the description,
what was the criteria under the ARPA requirements?
If you go under the Department of Treasury,
you got. I can look it up.
Right on their front page.
Yeah, I mean,
Federal Government Department of Treasury.
Then we go
specifically outlined things that could not be done. It's supposed to be resiliency for those that were affected by COVID. It specifically says nonprofit. I'm not trying to.
No, but I think it does tell.
It does. It's
because
very clear. It talks about water. It talks about broadband. It brings to light all the challenges that COVID brought to light. Kids have to do school from home and they live in the country, or they're indigent And how are they supposed to without internet or without laptops when the schools only had laptops for older kids? So I mean, it encompassed all of that.
The four thing,
So the four things.
it says premium pay for essential workers, investment in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure.
That's it?
No, I mean, those are the top four things. They can be used for other things, but I mean.
That's,
Oh, yeah, dang it, you had that whole 10-page thing. The Department of Treasury spelled out and also says there's lots of things, but the spirit is supposed to be broadens water sewer, allows counties to use up to 10 million to enhance growth factor under Treasury's formula. That doesn't mean anything to me. Authorizes rehiring of local government. Recovery funds can be deposited into interest accounts. Presumes certain populations were impacted and disproportionately impacted, therefore are eligible to receive a broad range of service and support, which is designated to minimize administrative burden. Modernize cybersecurity, hardware, software relates to broadband infrastructure.
what you're talking about is pretty much government identified services, correct? Would you agree with that? If I was to summarize that? But it also mentions in there, I believe, assistance for the residents of either a state or county or town, village, city, that suffered under the COVID issue. That would coincide to bring in your nonprofits or funds are distributed to help people direct. Tying into the county mission statement. Would you agree?
And I think that's a more
because we need to satisfy that part of the resolution.
Right, to help people is not always being, here you go, here's the cash, go do what you want to do, but we're going to offer services to, I mean, I personally feel like that's the more accountable way to make sure that people are being served.
They're going to extend the use of the funds over long periods of time rather than to pull money from the budget and keep it going. You invest in operations that can do basic needs for everybody and continue to flow income through the various grants that they can work with. Nonprofits are very good at this, at extending and making money go a long period of time with people that they're serving. Yeah. If you don't mind, take a look at why counties were developed to oversee nonprofits and to oversee rules and laws in given areas to extend the help and need of basic human needs, okay, to extend that. Counties were basically put in place to govern over what we do with nonprofits or what we do with safety and judicial process and whatever. So they're supervising how you spend the money. It isn't as if we give you money and then tell you to go off and do something with it. We advise you on how to go about doing it and taking care of the day by days and whatever else.
John? I mean, we're talking about the spirit of ARPA. It was already granted to the neighborhood improvement grant. That was ARPA dollars. You know, that was approved through the state and others for a homeless shelter. That was approved through the state and others for sober living houses. It was approved in the state and others for lots for Habitat for Humanity or for Humanity. It was approved for state and others for Covey for a building. It was approved for the state and others for tiny houses and our health program, which wasn't even capital. That was just for us to develop a program to be able to connect people to the resources. It was approved even for us to have the housing coordinator that we have to help us manage the funds. So clearly, that bar has already been set. There is no doubt in my mind that these are eligible and follow the spirit of our.
It was a mistake. It was a mistake to take nonprofits out of the 167 resolution. That was a mistake, but we couldn't go back and veto that and get it back in there. I don't know.
Well, that took out non-government community projects. That took out being able to give just straight without any government oversight.
Well,
that took out our ability to help out private businesses. That took out our ability
Broadband.
to do broadband and companies there that things that aren't necessarily a county function. That's what that took out.
Is it your intent to try to get that back in with IDB?
It is not my intent to have. It is the intent of the board.
Well, what I'm saying, is there a way, a plan to put that back into IDB so that it can be utilized through private business in some way?
Not currently. My intent is to follow the will of the board, to do what we have to make the best use of this, to get everything that to push forward what this commission decides for Tim's moonshots, for Tom's outdoor recreation, for things that are important for us, things that we normally wouldn't have, to help increase our safety net. A strong Damascus roads helps our human services much better and relieves pressure on future funding that we would have to do if we get ahead of these things. So my intention is not to do. And my intention is to follow where we're at. We need to move forward, not backwards.
Tim?
I would just, speaking of Damascus Road, I think that's a great example of a small moonshot. Our county services are overwhelmed with doing what they already do. They know bits and pieces of the sexual trafficking issue. These folks know it backwards and forwards. And why not take advantage of that expertise when it's there instead of try and reinvent the wheel?
Okay, so.
Okay, let's move along.
Yeah,
Go ahead, John. I'll let you real quick.
Real quick. Sorry, Tom. Thank you for your patience on me. And look at the trends. We had to purchase a shelter care facility this year because LSS was having a hard time keeping up with staffing to do that. We had to purchase Silvercrest, Anita this year because the housing authority was having a problem doing that. Nonprofits are hurting; they're struggling, and if they collapse, we are in trouble. Tim, you are right. We cannot keep up with the safety net that we are supposed to provide, and that we need a strong community to help us carry that burden.
But we're not funding operating expenses for nonprofits.
Right.
On that period.
100%.
So.
Yep. That's right.
Permanent fine.
That's right.
Beth?
So there's, okay, thank you. It's like you read my mind with the segue. So one time, then why is the one-time funding piece important? But does it supersede? What if there's a legacy generational project, but this is gonna be a reoccurring, what takes priority? Would you rather see the legacy or would you rather see something that, nope, it's a one-time fund, it might not be multi-generational?
When I would approve additional loan money for people for investment, it was just a one-time loan. I wouldn't do it until I had the next many years pre-funded or pre-approved. So you can't create a fiscal cliff because then you have a worse problem than you started with. Well, similar to UW Systems has to lay off 200 people because operations also went down by 18 million or whatever the number was. We're not here to do that.
Okay. And I'm not arguing, I am being agnostic. I am trying to elicit your feedback on why, so we can start to prioritize what takes. So you're kind of saying one-time funding almost is what creates the legacy, because if we're continuing on, then, okay.
I'm gonna ask for a little grace before I say this. All right, I'm gonna ask for a little bit of grace, because some of this stuff isn't there. Well, one-time funding needs to be connected to one-time funding and not short-term, because it's hard to take away. 10 years ago, we bought every radio in the county for everybody. We told everybody that you have to plan in 10 years to buy your own radios in 10 years. Here we are 10 years later, and we're asking for funding again. If we did it once, it's hard to say no the second time, right? I'm not saying that it's not valid. I'm not saying it's not a worthy thing, but that's just a clear example of why it can't be attached to programs and why it can't be attached to short-term one-time ask. It needs to be a capital legacy project. And I'll always say again, for me, the county radios was not about the radios itself. It was about the debt relief that we would have to take. That was the long-term effect for me, less about the radios. So that as a prime example, when we have to look at these one times, is this something we're setting somebody up to need to come back and ask us again in 10 years? Again, not saying that the radios are not, that's what I'm asking for grace. I'm not attacking that project, but that is just an example of what happens. These one-time funds will not be there again.
So
Thank you.
Your idea would be not to fund projects that have a short life, that have a revolve of like, sorry, I don't mean to beat up on radios, but radios have a lifespan of 10 years. So that's what you're saying, is you don't want something that has a short lifespan. That's the intent with this.
Not based off the project itself, right? It's just an example of how you can say this is a one-time thing, but it's going to come back. So you have to be mindful of that.
Mm-hmm.
The operation that you're letting us money free wherever it is, whether it's a nonprofit or whether it is a fire department, it has to have an operational aspect to it that will be able to stand on its own in the period of time that you effectively allow things to run. In other words, if it's going to run its route and get done at 10 years, you know that you've got to install something that is going to funding to come up behind it to take care of it 10 years out. If it's a nonprofit that is going to be given X number of dollars to get started in a new place, we'll say, it still has to have a operational scheme that will continue passing that on so that it is able to earn for itself its own keep. Without that, you're just giving away money. You have to be able to have some kind of an operational scheme in it that will repay it when you need it the most. In other words, follow up on it.
So how do, given your comments, Beth, how would we determine that as a commission? How would we know that they're meeting the applicant, that criteria?
She's asking some of those questions. She is.
And there were some that were very clear. We need more widgets right now to hand out to people. Okay, what's the long term? That's an immediate need. So we can define what's an immediate need as opposed to I need to buy a building, a capital. This thing's gonna stand.
But I think he's referring to
if we give you the money to meet the immediate need, how are we assured you're gonna be able to sustain providing that need beyond what we've given you?
So that's the difference. If
That's his.
I'm handing out 100 somethings, but as an organization, how does, okay, they're gone, but now what's the plan for me to find 100 more to keep giving those out as
The
opposed
legacy
to,
part of it, where is that?
as opposed to,
How do we get that defined so we can make judgment?
I think we can easily have anybody who's asking money define that. I think it's easy to define, honestly.
So in other words, you're gonna ask them, what do you have for other financial resources? Are you getting grants?
How would we funding this thing? How is that a legacy? Not like an extension. Well, the person I'm giving it to, they'll have a better life because it's going, I mean, it's easy to see. Once you get rid of it, now it's gone.
Yes.
It's a consumable. So I think we can parse out what is being asked for a consumable type of project. That might not be the right word, but as opposed to something that's going to help your existence and help your business grow.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At the risk of dragging this out, I don't think legacy was one of those. Whoever brought up the ARPA or the ARPA rules and regulations. I don't think legacy was in there. They wanted to.
That was our determination. Because
the ARPA said you need to help those people who were most affected by the COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay,
consumables in their mind was okay if that gets those people through their critical times. Just devil's advocate.
Excellent point. How would you respond to that? The legacy, I think initially we all agreed with something we wanted to support. But it does somewhat contradict what's being said.
I don't think legacy was a qualifier. It was one of the things we wanted to look at. You know, I don't think that we ever, pardon me for standing.
That's quite right.
Cheers, and backs don't always work well for a long time together. Legacy was just something that I thought would give it added value. I mean, if something doesn't have a legacy, it doesn't mean it's disqualified. Something we should look into. You know, we talked about the land and water thing there. There's definitely a legacy to that.
But it does coincide with what Mr. Cox was saying. I mean, to give money to a group and to take care of one issue now and not be able to take care of that need 2 years now from now or 3 is something we should consider.
I'm just trying to use the words that we use.
Yes, I understand.
And we have to come up with what is our highest priority. So there might be one-offs, but that's why there are 4 different things. So what if something is an immediate need, but it's a one-time ask? It helps a massive range of Winnebago County, and it's not, they're not asking for 100%. We need half of the thing to fund. That's what we have to figure out. What is the first highest priority to be able to say, no, this is the thing that we need to prioritize, so that when they come and say, here's what I want, it's easy, very clear to say, we said this is our priority. We said we needed to have a legacy. We just don't want to put this money to, I'm just using that as an example, an immediate consumable.
I guess I'm just a little confused. You know, we got rid of the ARPA, all the rules that, all of them. So I think Supervisor Fari said it, that we need to be following the, you know, funds in the spirit of ARPA. I mean, are these pet projects? Are these, are we going to actually follow that? in the spirit of ARPA, you know, we're kind of going back and forth on some of this stuff here.
I referred to it because it's in the resolution.
Yeah, exactly.
Tommy,
I apologize up front. But how many dollars do we have to spend in this?
Not a lot
9
compared to, right,
9 million, and we have requests for
30-ish.
30-ish. So we do not live in a perfect world. I don't ever see it getting perfect in my lifetime here or later on. So what we ever do could be criticized. But if we took the list of what we have now and took the ones that meet the requirements without asking a lot of questions and paring it down to see if we get closer to that 9, because we're going to be arguing about all these other things, and then you're going to have, I'm going to get this wrong, partisan politics take over where somebody wants it because it's their pet peeve, and they're going to come in, and we're going to see that at the board.
Well, that's why we need to define
The criteria.
the criteria.
Right, but I'm saying, there's some of them that just aren't even close. And until we get down to see where we're at.
Then we just need to define the criteria and then the process. Are we going to eliminate the ones that we feel? Or do you want to do it the other way? Highlight the ones that are
Or how do you intake and put in now the board wants to go into it line by line? That's a total, we're gonna take a lot of time.
well, there are 78 projects and I haven't counted, but I don't know, what if half of them, so 40. If the board is committed to going line by line, then the board's made that determination and they've made that commitment.
I see some special sessions.
I agree, because there's nothing worse than hearing our federal government, like the day before a shutdown, here's a 3,000-page packet and you have to approve it, or you're the jerks that and there's all sorts of crap in there. And I would love to not do that. I'd love to have each one be on their own merit, that this is important. Yes or no, you decide on this one, rather than, I love this project, but this one I don't feel great about, but we've got to get money spent. Nor do I want to just get money spent out the door. I want to get moving along because I know we don't want to be here forever, but I want us to I want us to feel good about, this is what we said we were going to spend. And this is what we said that we were going to bring to the board, and then it's up to the board to determine, but then we can feel good about, we followed what we said we were going to do.
yeah.
The other night, I sat down, there may have been a glass of bourbon or wine next to me. And I just took half of what everyone asked for. And then I looked project by project. Were they worthy of more than half or worthy of less, in my little opinion? And it makes it easier when you start out with a number that's closer to what we need to spend, in my opinion. So if you take the 30 and you get it down to 15 and you have to get to 9, now you're starting to talk about the real differences about what needs to be funded. Maybe one time, the last time, radios are funded fully. Maybe it's, whatever. Maybe you don't spend money on some parks and things like that, that community should really get down to brass tacks and do themselves. If it's really that important, or maybe it's some other things. But I just found it useful for myself to do it that way, to cut everything in half. And then go back and say, there are puts and takes here. So you take a little bit here, a little bit there. But that's the board eventually is going to have to decide all that.
John?
I didn't run for this position to not be willing to make tough decisions and eventually pick winners and losers. That's the role. We're gonna make some mistakes. We're gonna make some good things. 25 years ago, hopefully we look back and we say we did the right thing. That being said, one of the reasons I believe I'm on this commission is to be upfront on what we're wasting time on. I mean, whether the board approved or not, you still need the executive's office to spend the dollars. There are quite a few on this list that I can save us a lot of time. It's not radios. I don't think we have any business, as much as they need it, fixing a street for a municipality. That's not our role. I don't think that I am not willing as executive to put dollar in land that belongs to the state or supplement the state of Wisconsin for a project they should be funded. There are quite a few things on this list that I am simply unwilling to spend money on, whether it's appropriated or not. Who knows? Maybe in 2025 you get a new executive who is. But for the meantime, I could make this list a lot shorter. However, I thought we owed it to the public to let everybody know what every project is, to make sure it's transparent as possible. But there is quite a few of that list. I do not have the authority to strike out here, nor do I want the authority to strike out here, but I am willing to own and tell you the things that I am not willing to spend pennies on. So if that is something that you would like me to propose for the next one to make that easier, and maybe we could take a look at, I'll let you decide if there's any of these other projects that you want to push forward, to maybe get something on paper or a resolution or something to get to the board now. Those decisions might make this job a heck of a lot easier.
So do you want to just start going? I mean, we can start with the community projects and just start going line by line and just saying this one does not feel like a fit. All the information, I mean, if there's extra info is on here, and we can just start eliminating projects.
I got a couple of questions, other ones that have questions first.
Yes.
John, given the premise that you just stated, whether I agree or disagree with that authority, it is at this point in time your authority. We allocate and fund, but you have the authority whether or not to spend it.
Mary Ann, you want to answer that?
No, I don't need that answer.
Okay.
Given that premise, then I suggest what you suggest should be funded needs to be stated clearly and by the next meeting, hopefully. Because you just told us that's the way it's going to be. So why would we want, as a commission, to approve projects that eventually John is not going to support?
I would push
That's
back.
just what I heard.
I would push back that John doesn't know everything. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. I mean,
well,
I was very invested in nonprofits, but I didn't know that Damascus Road was working on a plan. That makes me feel very comfortable and great. But if it would have been, nope, they're all volunteer run, strike it. I don't think that's fair to the people that applied. Like the fire tower guys. Yeah. I thought it was looking for training. So if I took it on face value, I would have said, well, we said we don't want to do programming. So, but I think there is enough information in this to get us started to, okay, what questions do you have? Why are you saying no? We can maybe write down some questions and reach back out to them and have those defined. So that's what I would say. So I think it needs to be more of a collective. I mean, that is not why we're all here, is to pull from all your pieces of knowledge.
We are all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it is. And I had some different comments before the county executive made his, but you know, I don't want to waste anybody's time here. If the county executive is going to say, we're going to make these decisions, otherwise I'm going to veto these. I mean, why, you know, I feel this is very valuable that to get everybody's input on this, and this is why this was committed. This commission was established. I was just going to say that, you know, this was established because we had a pandemic. And hopefully we never have a pandemic ever again. Heaven forbid we have one, that we want to make sure, in my opinion, that we have the things that we need that we weren't prepared for in the past. And so I think that should be taken into consideration, because 25 years from now, nobody predicted this one. They're not going to predict the next one. And so that we have the things that we need for their county residents to survive.
Tim's point about the money, I think we're spending too much time worrying about a $9 million budget. If we advance $9 million worth of recommendations to the county board, will they approve $9 million of our recommendation? I don't, if they're gonna do a line by line discussion, there'll be amendments, changes. So we're just a commission that recommends, and we could recommend $15 million, and the county board's gonna go parse everything out anyway. We're not gonna give them a perfect document that they're gonna blanket approve.
I can't say whether they will or not. I think they should have the chance. I'm going to differ with John on this. I do not think that John should take it. I know he can veto it and everything. That's within his power. But he was also put on this commission to do that because of the county executive. But it's his daily thing. He can do this. Right. But if he feels that he's right, he's going to be serving the board and himself. I think he's doing wrong. That's his choice. So I, for one, would rather go through it, mark off, and just come up with what we have, and go along with Tim and Tom. And I think this commission should be making the putting on, should be.
If a resolution is drafted, can it be does it have to be a finite amount of money that we say we want to fund this program at this, or can we say our recommendation is to fund at this is the max and this is the minimum?
The resolution has a fiscal impact statement.
Okay.
And so therefore, in order to get a handle, you need to put an amount that can be a range, but I can tell you that given the fiscal impact piece, I mean, the closer you are to the specific amount, the better you are.
Okay. John?
I just want to clarify real quick, because I don't want what I said to meant as a threat. Didn't mean that at all. What I simply mean is there's a few things on here that I can make our scope a lot easier. I am willing to take a look at everything. There are a couple of things I think that we probably all could agree that aren't going to go forward. And if this commission doesn't want to do that, and if you'd like the scope to be easier, if you'd like me to recommend by the next meeting a few roads or things that are just simply off the table so that we can actually focus in some of the good projects here, that's what I meant. Not that if you guys really think, we'll just say Damascus Roads is really great, but I don't agree with that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there are a couple things here that are just completely non-starters for me that I don't think are really emotional ties except for the people that live on Tyler Street. That's all I was saying. And I just want to clarify that.
Morris?
I speak to a little of that. And what we had a couple meetings ago, and I mentioned it, that I took a look at some of the capital projects that I looked into some of the depth at which scheduling is done and whatever else. If we're giving money to particular areas, or we're going out and we're planning on, putting in a sidewalk, we have to know what's going to happen to that area before we say that sidewalk gets planned and done by the time, the end of 2025 or 2024, or whatever, December 31st or whatever. So you can't put time limits on some of this because you've got other people planning in the background at each town, each municipality. We haven't really looked inside that, that ball of yarn yet. Okay. Right. It's coming around. Wow. But when we take a look at, John knows what the highway department, seems to be involved in right now. And knows particular 1 or 2 or 3 projects that are going to involve them that maybe shouldn't even be looked at.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of things, those kind of recommendations may be handled, in a kind of a tender sort of way, but left, aside and continue on with other projects that are more needy, we'll say, and can get done quicker. So I think that the timing of those comments and need for an oversight might be there.
Are we at the point now with these definitions? Are we at the point that we could start?
I think so.
Right, so
I
now,
think we could literally just go line by line on this.
so now here's the next thing is when we start doing that, we have to start out with the number that we have, because as we approve our policy meeting, that's going to reduce that number. And then we're going to get to the point where we're out of money and we're not out of.
Well, what I say we should do is go through the whole document, or at least John can identify, because there are some of these, he said, oh, the Parks is gonna take care of that, that shouldn't be in here, or whatever. Okay, we can line through those. There are probably some that are very clear, this is not something that we wanna fund, we can line through those. And then we can go line by line. Is this something we'd approve? It's $1 million project, they're asking for 500. Would you approve it at 500? Yeah, don't worry about the math. Here's another project, they want 500, but it's gonna cost. Are we gonna fund them at 100%? Great, it's a good project, but we're not funding 100%. We'll put them at 50 and then do the math at the end. And it starts to work itself out that way. So I think eliminating the ones that just don't fit or that John knows would go into that government run category will start to pull out. And then for I don't know the city village town request, I know in the supervisors meeting, there were lots of questions and if it's in the CIP and if it's being pulled out. And so, I mean, there could be things that you identify, yeah, this is interesting, but then let's ask this set of questions. Did they spend their 145? What are they spending it on? Is it part of the CIP? What are they're pulling it out? What are they doing with that money that's in there now, that's now open in their budget?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
Let's go. Out of order.
Do you have?
Document do you want?
I think for me, it's easier if we go through community requests. You guys have one that looks like this at the end that is, okay.
No.
It might be on this one.
So
that's
the one that were at the meeting, at the supervisors meeting with the dark blue on top.
Does that coincide with this one?
Yes, that's it. So that's
using mine, so I need the one to duplicate.
I got mine written on.
Hi, guys.
I mean, or you can use this
took it off
one.
here.
All the information is the same.
I'm gonna give it back to you.
Oh, you got your own. Okay, apparently you got it all.
Oh, I do, but I put it in.
Let's go, Dan.
So there were,
So we're gonna get
oh my
started.
word, it's like my boys are home again. Boy, stop it. There were 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. So there were 5 projects that I did not put on this summary because the citizen work group felt, according to this criteria, they did not fit. So one was the Boys and Girls Club because they had they asked for 2 proposals, 750,000 each. Both were for the club expansion, so it felt like it was a duplication. The next one, so if you take this big one, it's the ones that are in red. Those are the ones that are not on that The next one is the Bottom Loft that is a private developer that's looking to increase the housing stock.
Them are the five that you guys didn't put on there, we don't even.
I just want to make sure. One is Community Clothes Closet. They wanted 70,000 to buy more items. Another one is the mooring program, which is Apricity. And that was maintenance, updates to their building. And then the last one was Pillars for maintenance and for facilities for their homelessness project. Those were the ones that the citizen review, trying to just use this criteria, did not feel like they met the criteria. But I'm looking to you in case there's something, some community or county function that we aren't aware of that they might.
The Pillars one was the, oh, sorry, go ahead. The Pillars one was the only one I had a question for. Was that actually capital for their building, for their what is it, Ascend that they have in Neenah? They have something with, I just didn't know enough if that was attached to that project or not.
So Pillars is 58. They are looking for 50,000 in support of facilities and maintenance of Ascend. It's a semi-independent program, supportive services. The funds will be used to address overdue and underfunded maintenance for the 16 Ascend units that are home to 24 households.
We couldn't send everything out, so as you can see why. So if you want to see any of this, it's all here. It was
so if you're looking on this one, on that color, on this one, it's on here, right there.
Are in order, okay, so.
No, they're not in order. They're separated by community and county.
What number was that one again?
50, not right. 58, sorry. It's so tiny, the 8 looks like an eye.
That was in red, but I don't think, I personally didn't think it should have been a red. I thought that was.
So that's why.
Where do
That is that one.
I got 59.
Yes, 59, I'm sorry, I misspoke. So it's on that second page.
Sorry.
Yep.
Oh, you did 8, all right.
It's that one. So I'm just looking at the red ones. The red ones are the ones that.
No, I marked one here.
Yep. It's that one. See that teeny tiny 9. Anyone that's marked red on that one or on these.
What about sawdust slops?
Sawdust slops is another one. That one is 37. Number 59 is Apricity. And then number 10 and number 12. Number 10 is Community Clothes Closet. Number 12 is the second request from the Boys and Girls Club. So those are the ones that we felt did not fit that criteria, but didn't have 100% security if they had a county function.
58,
That 58 might.
Okay, go ahead. 58, I believe, because that is it's Ascend, that's Pillars part. It's in Neenah, I believe. They house I believe children that time out of the foster care system. So I think that's a capital investment for them to get their buildings up to snuff, I believe.
Dedicated to housing Ascend participants while the remainder of the units are rented or below market rental income. I don't think it doesn't. I mean, that's one that I can ask more questions because
Yep.
Just sounds like it.
Yep.
Not just, but it sounds like it's.
before you get.
Do you want commission members to make a motion how would you like this to go? You want us to make a motion to strike something or?
I would like to go ahead and go through it.
I was
Strike
gonna
the ones
say,
we
why don't
don't
we
want,
just talk
get rid of
through
them.
and.
Yes,
As we go along,
right.
okay.
We don't think they qualify, get rid of them and then we can go back. I don't know.
You wanna start with those 5? Which ones we wanna strike? All those in red? Would like to talk about
The
58.
Exception of 58 pillars, I can ask more questions.
Yeah, it says there, website, will you commit to meetings weekly with the case manager to review progress? Are you willing to attend required events and engage with the Senate community? Yes, so
Number 58 pillars, okay. All right.
Chairman, you want a motion?
Get rid of all the other red ones.
You're gonna get more information on it, so.
Or
Just that one, but then, yeah, you can make a motion to strike the other 4.
if that floor, I'll move to strike 4 of the red ones. The exception would be number 59.
Wait,
Is it
so
58?
it's 58 is pillars, so 59 is apricity.
59.
I have 59 on my copy.
58 is pillars.
Yeah.
One being. 59, that's the one.
Oh, okay, I was on the wrong page. I'm sorry. Okay, we're striking everything. Easy.
That's not it.
So the number is correct. 59, 58 is not being struck. Yeah, you have a motion on the floor, gentlemen.
Okay. So they're not 4 of them. If they're taking out pillars, it would be 6. Pillars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
The 7 red one?
All right, can I
Oh,
use this?
okay.
Thank you. All right,
And I'll move to strike 6 of the 7, exception being number 58.
do we have to move to straight things, or can it just be here's what?
Please discuss if anybody else wants it, otherwise if we went to discuss that, then we would have still been in.
Could you tell me the 6? Can we go to the projects of the 6?
Yeah.
So if you're looking at this, we'll all go back just to this big.
There were 7, not 5.
Okay.
This first one on the first page. Good God, I can't even read them.
Number 12.
Well,
Number 12 is Boys and Girls Club. Their second ad. If you turn it over, page 2,
37.
37 Sawdust District,
Sawdust lost.
or Loft, sorry,
That one as well.
at the, thank you. I don't have my readers, I can't read.
13.
So number 13, originally, we struck that. However, we found out that it has a county function. So the county, so that was not included. That's why it was not one of the, that's why Mary Ann said that there's 7, but that was not one that we would strike yet.
Oh, okay.
We could leave that one.
What number is that?
That is,
Number 15.
child care and resource referral.
so that one,
There you go.
So that you want to keep?
We'll leave that. Yeah.
we're gonna leave it for now.
Okay.
On page 3. Number 34 is family services. That one was red, but again, we found out that there's a county function that human services works with family services. Correct, John?
We work with a lot of people on human services.
Yeah, that.
Family services,
That's 34.
that is
Yeah,
34.
Still being debated.
So that is one that we, after we made this and I found out the county function, so that one we are holding.
We're rolling.
Yep. The one right below it.
Chairman,
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I can confirm that, yes, DHS does work with Parent Connection on child protective service cases.
Thank you. The next one is 10 community clothes closet. That was one that we said because they just want to increase their stock of clothing. We felt that that was just an instant.
Can we go back to 34? They want to add staff positions? I think we just discussed that was not going to be our focus.
You can determine that's okay if you wanna.
Yeah. That's their criteria?
Yes.
Yeah. And that comes through the budget process. Yeah.
To serve 25 families for one year costs $55,000. To serve these families for 3 years costs $166,000. Funding will help eliminate our waiting list and provide expansion. So yes, that would be to add, it sounds like a staff person. So they want ARPA money to fund it for 3 years.
No.
Okay,
No.
look it. Based on what we talked about, that's not our priority. Look what you're doing already.
We're fast learners already.
Okay.
Far down as 10 and.
So, yeah, so the next one then is community clothes closet. That was to increase the stock. They just wanted to buy a bunch of clothes, very needed, but that felt like a consumable to our group.
No, I agree.
Okay. Then at the bottom of the page is 59. That is apricity. And that is.
Yeah. More.
I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm using the doing business as. Yep.
They want to buy software.
Mooring. Programming and updates to maintain the facility and their vehicles. So.
No.
58, 59's over here.
Regular banner.
I can run in heels. Recovery. One of our group rooms needs tables, chairs. Current furniture was not used, begun to wear. It was facility and maintenance update.
What number is it? That is 59, bottom of the third page. Bottom of the third page.
Mooring programs incorporated, doing business as.
No.
Yep.
No.
I'm just confirming. So I'm sharing what we felt did not fit. So I'm getting your, yeah. You're gonna have to tell me the numbers because I can't read them.
Next one's 58.
Then on the next page, 58, that pillars, that one we're gonna hold because we have some more questions. All right, if you want to keep going into the city, town.
I don't know how to terminate it. Sawdust Loft was 7.
I think we all feel.
I think we just.
Did you pull that off? I agree. With the exception, yes.
I did. So Sawdust Lofts, number 37 on page 2, that one we said no. So then we're in the blue, number 15, that's the housing authority.
Yeah, just so at this point here, you only have 2, right? Number 58 and number 13.
At this point, we have canceled number 12, number 37, number 34, number 10, and number 59.
Okay, then number 15 is housing authority. These are where we didn't know how to read. I mean,
Blue designates undetermined.
blue designates, it came from a government, city, town, village. So the housing authority said, well, we're quasi-government because we're kind of a nonprofit, but we're under the route. So we put that in the blue because we didn't really know what they were categorized as.
I'd like to leave the seven though the decision and really have our housing coordinator take a look at all these things, have Ruth here come in. Anything housing related to take a look at, maybe give us some recommendations. I did, but we knew we had a lot of, me and Tom talked about it, that we had a lot to do on this one. So she's ready to do so.
So we can just take off the quick, easy ones that are.
Yep.
So number 25 is future Nina. That one we did keep. I mean, that one we kept under the city, town, villages because they said that they would have to work with the parks department.
I will, as a mark that resident of the city of Neenah and a big supporter of future Neenah, I would not recommend funding this project.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Well,
Same.
yeah.
I'm on board with Tim.
Yeah. Same.
You would not recommend it.
Nope. I mean, we'll find the money, we'll put up our own swing sets and stuff like that.
Then number 26, City of Amro, construction and operations of a dog park. You would?
I personally,
I don't think dog.
I personally would say no.
I am a cat person. I
County
have
owns
no
a lot of
problem.
land out there, out that area. If they want to put up a dog park, the county could give them some land.
The board's gonna have us do another dog park on the west side of the county eventually.
I think that's gonna take 25 years of somebody advocating.
Yes, I do too.
All right. Okay.
So that one's crossed off.
Yes. Yeah. Right. The only reason I was looking at that one,
32 is Winnebago playground equipment. This is one where they said the cost is 500 and they're requesting 500. So do we want to keep it on? And if we do, would we fund it at 100%?
That wasn't their only project though, right? That was.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Correct.
Oh, I would
cancel this one and go to the next.
Yeah, I would just sit on that one for a bit.
Yeah.
We can.
Yes.
All right, just a little history for the commission too. The Winnebago Park, and correct me if I'm wrong, this used to be a county park.
Yeah.
That we had troubles maintaining, mowing, so they said, if you just surrender it to us, can we have it? So it used to be a county asset that they took over and been maintaining, but something that we were responsible for maintaining for years past, couldn't keep up with it. That being said, some of the things in here I don't agree with. But as the executive, I am open to some of the structural things that they have, maybe some of the things that help with some revenue sources. But this was once upon a time a county park.
32 is 39, also part of that same
It
map.
looks like it. Remodeling.
There's a few that are.
Let's count up the ones that are and then total up the whole thing and ask them if they want to share the expense.
It's
I
identified,
just wanted you to know the history of that park.
it's identified in this document.
Yeah.
Winnebago project.
So 500 for playground, 100 for the west shelter. Is the boat launch also part of that or no? Repair, seal coat.
Yes.
Yeah, that is, okay.
Where is that?
That is number 49, repair, seal coat and repaint parking lines on the First Street boat launch.
Was the, excuse me.
49, what page?
Does Winnebago boat launch have a paid for play?
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay, there's remodel barn in the park. There's replace basketball court. Is that part of the park?
I believe so.
67. Morris, I'm gonna just like highlight the ones that all go together and I'll try to do the math the best I can in my head and give you a range, and then we can go basketball, garage, fire, quad, approve additional, okay, boat, dock, pier, fishing, cleaning stations, that's all also part of it for Winneconne. Oh yeah, sorry, to Winneconne Park.
And if you wanna back up. I was just gonna say, weren't they asking something about riprap or something that you wanted to know if they could get it in right away at this last meeting? That was like seawall, right? Right, yeah. So
Where is that?
you wanted to know if that was gonna be in, so.
Can't we just go down this whole blue line, line by line through here?
Yeah, we might wanna, cause they have
Skipping around all over.
they have a request to replace an air boat.
So Winneconne for their whole park, for everything that they want to do for that park is about $1.1 million. All the things, when you're looking at the boat launch and shelters and playground and fishing piers and all that stuff, it's a little over 1.1 million.
You have with you the city village request. It's all grouped together.
It's all fire hydrants in here?
They are.
Yeah.
I don't know if those are part of the park.
No, they're not.
Okay.
Corroding water main?
Yep, I just pulled out the park thing so you guys could see how much they were looking at for the park as a whole. Yeah, that 31 says improvements and addition of boat, dock, pier, which, okay, that could be.
I think that was the one that he was talking about at the board meeting that is time sensitive.
I would, if we're up to me, I'd
Go down to here.
make a recommendation to award half of their total amount and let them fight it out. Where they want
That's
Total amount
just
to the park?
That's just the park.
Oh,
Just
not talking about the sewers and the.
They're asking for 3.1 million as a total.
Yeah, it'll be the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what.
Yeah. So I use this to reference which ones were from the park. So you can the scope of their 3.1 million ask. They're asking for about 1.1 million just for park remodel. Some of that is seawall.
Think about it.
So
Think about it as far as this is concerned, and that really doesn't, where this comes in, I don't think this is that.
I would agree with Morris.
This
What do you mean?
doesn't fit well with that.
Yeah.
Really.
resiliency and community.
I mean, outdoor recreation was a big part of it. A lot of these funds were for trails and everybody was on the water. That was, I mean, Sandbar Bash was national news and a lot of them got hurt from that one time.
Good point.
So
Good point, the fact that, if you're talking about that people are going outside, like I said, my earlier point about a pandemic, that, yeah, you're correct.
I didn't want to jump around document to document, but because this one, now we're at all the government ones. This one has each city. This city, village, town request has each broken it down by each city. If it's easier to look at this, that's up to you.
Yeah, we can,
You want to cross reference.
Yeah,
we can do that ourselves. You
sure.
think the way you think.
If you award them a certain amount of money, they can decide how they're gonna use that, which really is important. Because right now, everything's important at 100%.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
does that, okay, finance guy, can we say you get 1.1 million and you figure out how to spend it? Or do we have to approve projects? Because this sounds very familiar to the 145.
Yeah.
So let's define that before we make a determination.
I would say you need to, if you want to give them a certain dollar amount, you need to have them let you know where they're gonna spend it.
And
So you then say, we're gonna give you 1.1.
so how do we
Now
go?
you tell us what you're gonna spend it on, and then you go to the board and see if the board wants to approve it.
Yeah, because I can't see the board saying, sure, give $1 million to Winnebago for something like
They
this.
could end up using it for operating expenses.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So the focus of this was to get the projects and fund projects.
Well, put the list of the projects down and say, you've got a choice. You want to give it X number.
Sure.
X number, and you can.
So are there any in Winnebago that you feel should not be, like, we don't want to put money toward something? Because then if that is not the case, if you say, oh, all these feel okay, fire hydrants, all that stuff, then we can go back to Winnebago and then ask your CIP questions, ask, hey, prioritize these. You tell us what is your,
right.
Because they may say, we don't care about the West Shelter, we need these boat docks and fire hydrants. Yeah.
There's, I'm gonna subject on a second. If I might, I'm aware of what Winnebago is asking, not included in this list, the replacement of an airboat or the Oregon Winnebago Fire Department. To me, that is the most important issue to be addressed in funding.
We pulled that because it's a sheriff's code.
Yep.
So I'm still planning on coming forward that in that top 50%. So that is gonna be part of that administrative asset. It's not a town of Poygan asset, it's a.
It is owned by the county.
Correct.
They house it.
Yes, yep, correct.
Okay, that's
Yep.
been pulled. All right,
Yeah.
I was not aware.
71.
Thank
Yep.
you. I was just gonna say that. So application 71 is taken out because it's gonna be moved. So that's 300,000 that'll be moved out of that government identified.
Could we take and have them prioritize
Yeah.
this?
Yeah,
And then we can go back and say, okay, if you want 3 of them, it's gonna cost this much, and then we approve that much.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's.
can I just think something through here real quick on things that might make this easier for me? On the Village of Winnebago, if you want me to let you know what the project number is, I can. I would not fund a squad car for them when we still have to buy our own deputy cars. That doesn't make sense to me. I would not fund 3 fire hydrants because that doesn't make sense to me. It's a capital project they should be looking into. Nor would I do the water main replacements on 6th Ave, 8th Ave, or 9th Ave. We're gonna get into that game. There's a whole bunch of water main replacements in Oshkosh that I'm not willing to look at either. The police garage construction, I would not look at as a county executive. We are building a large facility right now for the sheriff's department. We can collaborate on that. And the same thing with the F-150 responder for their police department. If we're gonna fund vehicles, it should be our sheriff's deputies first and foremost. So those are the ones that, when I said the things that I wouldn't want to spend money on and want to be honest to make our job easier, that's what I'm talking about.
We don't want to set a precedence.
Yep.
Correct, right.
So basically that's everything other than the park things.
Correct. Yeah.
So then we could go back and say, hey, the commission may consider the park. Would you prioritize?
So a quick math for me, if I added up the basketball court, if I added up the boat launch line painting, the seawall, the park shelter, the playground equipment, and did I get the barn in there? Did I mention the barn? And the barn.
I don't see, well, they call it a shelter.
And then if we subtract $145,000 from that, correct? Right?
I had
Did they
1.075.
have 145 or did they?
Well, we gave every town municipality 145. When I'm, Is that valid or is that not valid? Is that a not valid way to look at that?
Subtract 145 from the total amount. And you say, okay, no, you've got 145, here's the balance to get these projects done.
Well, he's subtracting 145 from the amount of projects that he thinks should be approved. Right. Which is not the total.
Yeah, would consider.
Right, that probably puts us at 930 for their park, which is still a large number.
I don't think that's the way the 145 was intended though. I think the 145 was.
Here's a project, go do your project, right?
Yeah, I was just putting it out there.
Right.
So.
Okay, so.
So you're not gonna take it up, no.
For Winnebago,
Just trying to get us closer to a number. And to Tim's point, you know, do you have that? Do we say 600,000, have it out, prioritize what you want? I don't know.
I could support taking it out, because otherwise it's like double dipping. And they could use some of that money to do some of these projects or not, depending on what they want to do. That's what comes by them prioritizing them. They tell us which ones, and we can look at the monies and see if we give them much for the top 3 or 2 or whatever it turns out to be.
And you take that out of there. Okay, 145 out of there percent. It came on a different resolution, and it came with stipulations. They're already at that point of stipulations and whatever, and you're gonna take it away from the project itself.
But this is above and beyond that, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you're looking at a large request from the Village of Winnebago. If you're looking at a small request from a town or another municipality, and you take the 145 off, which we should do would be uniform.
Yeah, then everybody.
They're getting nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some municipalities in there that haven't asked for hardly anything.
Yes.
Yep.
Right?
There's only one town that has a request in here.
So far. Here, I know Billings got one pending. I don't know about the rest of them. I did get a report.
Had been by now.
Town of Algoma.
Had been by now.
Oh, I didn't know he had I think they submitted today. What was the deadline?
Deadline was August.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no more submittals? How did I go from a number of 71 to 76 then?
There were some that were submitted to board members, but not through that.
Yeah, there was a
you
supervisor.
included them.
Yeah, because I didn't get them.
And we included the original ask for all the radios in the beginning that we had when it was way back in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, so there were 6 requests. One of them was for radios for Menasha or Nina Menasha, but that was a duplicate. And then there were 5 other ones that were brought by a supervisor, but sent maybe to a couple people and not the whole commission.
I'm aware of the one, and my concern was, I'll dovetail Supervisor Cox's comment. If it's for an improvement within the municipality, the municipality needed to submit it, because we don't know if it's going to interfere with a sewer pipe or something. We don't.
So that's why I put those all together kind of on the bottom and said these did not come from the municipality. So
okay,
I got those grouped together.
right.
So for Winnebago, we just cut out about $2 million. It sounds like. And we'll ask, we can send a request to ask get more information to prioritize the park things, the park request. Was the one seawall, that's what I was just gonna say, the seawall, is that something that we want to talk about and consider writing a resolution for, because that has an urgent need?
Right.
31.
That is number 31.
Yep.
Okay.
That money out as soon as possible. I mean, we aren't going to until after the board meeting. Yep. So they get that done this year.
So number 31.
Are we back on the blue? Okay.
Well, I was just looking at this to try to get more information.
I'm curious at all their other projects, they were asking for 100% funding. And for that, they only asked for 100 or for a third of it.
There was DNR funding or grant or something, which is what makes it time sensitive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Back on the study yet, I still take out that 145,000 yet. I do not think that should, because that was a total different resolution and everything else. I know where the county executive comes from, and
I agree.
And
So the village,
I can support it because if we're not gonna have enough money to give to everybody everything they want, this helps us in our decision-making process. Now, would we do it different? This whole thing I do different probably when I get done with it. But they assume that there's gonna be more money there. I talked to my government official and he goes, well, of course we're gonna ask for it. It's free money.
yeah,
Their attitude
right,
isn't, I don't need it. It would be nice to have.
right. That's why, okay, we got everything. Let's fit, what are we not gonna fund? And now we can go back to them for the second round and prioritize. So for number 31, it says the village of Winnebago has received a grant from the DNR. Project includes, so they must have some matching. So that's probably why they didn't ask for 100%. So it says after receiving this part from the county, currently, so is full amount required? Yes, currently we are moving to start work this fall to ensure phase 1 of the project is moved forward. The DNR grant is a dollar for dollar match. If we are unable to get assistance with the requested amount, it will impact our ability to complete. So they're asking for 165,000.
And that's part of the park request, or you want that separate?
Upgrade.
Well, right now we're saying we're doing that separate because this is an urgent. They need to know kind of now.
We're on full 7130.
I assume they have a contract with Radke.
I'm not sure.
He's the only one that does that kind of work.
Is there?
Is there?
Yeah.
A guy
Goes around, just got a barge just on the other side of the.
Why don't you talk to them about sending in their paperwork on 145? They could have it tomorrow. They would just send in the paperwork.
Some of these guys don't have the paperwork even sent in.
Yeah,
Really?
I don't either.
So this project,
Finland don't either. They simply said they're gonna comply and that was it.
they have completion as of June of 2024 for that project.
Yeah.
They would have $20,000 if you got their act together and got their paperwork in and took the 145
And applied it.
and applied it.
Well, maybe they're using that for something else.
Oh, come on.
Well, that's.
I just call them up, you know them. Call them up.
I know they got a picture wall for it already. And they got with spirit funds, so. Or ARPA funds, whatever it says right on it.
So do you want part of the question, do you want to table that and say, we just need to know, what are you doing with your 145? Is that going to this? Because maybe, I'm just taking a guess.
I don't think that. I think you ask them about the parks amount
As a
and put that in an order in case you don't get it all. And we
what's your
start,
priority?
yeah, we start to top and down. We decide we're gonna cut it off here. What do you guys do?
Okay.
I would think that we go ahead and at least grant them the amount of money so they get their money for this fall to do their seawall at least. If we want to do any more over and above that, we could do that.
And the request is 165?
Yep.
Yep.
You want a motion or not?
It'd have to be made into most to that because then Mary Ann isn't in here, but then a resolution would have to be written up to the county board.
I'll move to approve, identify. Number 31, identified in the color blue for the village of Winnebago for the purpose of establishing a seawall at the amount of $165,000.
So their request was a seawall, dock station, 15 bulkhead, parking upgrade for the 165.
65, more than all, but they need all that. So
That's it. I don't know the full, I don't know the breakdown. Is the grant for the whole thing? They didn't articulate.
Yeah, because a grant normally is for a specific seawall, as an example. Maybe we need to get a little more.
So then.
We need more information. I'll withdraw that.
Paul? Village of Winter County submitted tentatively for a boat launch, main boat launch, and subsequent water sports activities, including additional bulkhead width and length, drive-through boat launch capabilities, increased parking space, fish cleaning station, and additional docks. Total project 500,000. That's really gonna put their part of their 145. I don't know if it's the same whole thing or not, but
Sounded like what you just read.
Was that submitted in time?
this was for the 145.
Oh, 145, okay. All right, so that has been allocated.
And then they kind of one side.
Well, now that you bring up, if I might have the floor, you bring up a very good point. When they request the funding, they have to tell Paul what it's for. So that means it's allocated already.
the 145 is.
The 145 is already allocated.
For that purpose. And,
He rescinded his motion, and that's good that he did, because they evidently put it money in for that, which he was, it made the motion. Go ahead, so.
So we're gonna ask them to prioritize.
Yeah, they
that
need
forward.
to.
Okay. All right.
Categories,
So now that Mary is staff for the request for the town of Winneconne, we said we are saying no to number 52, 53, 63, 64, 68, 69, and 70. And the other grouping, the rest of those asks relate to the Winneconne Park, and we're gonna ask them to prioritize of those projects what they're 1 to 10.
And
in that ask, I want to take a look and see where the paperwork is for their 145.
I don't feel like that's my job. Yeah. I'm just guessing.
Somebody should have.
But, you know,
I think I know.
145.
in addition to what you're asking, you also need to ask about item number 31. And if the funding for that can be qualified just for the seawall.
That work.
Oh, you know, right?
What
you asked for?
So is my understanding that you want me to draft a resolution for the seawall?
No, we don't have.
We're going to, but it's been pulled.
Motion was withdrawn.
Yep. So I will also include an ask, can you parse out just the seawall portion? Right? Okay. Those are hard. It's 3 o'clock. Why don't we go back to the community app? Like, let's go back. Can I take a question from the floor? Okay. So I'm going back to this, which has all the projects, and I figured let's go line by line. Are there any that you just don't feel are a good fit? So the first one is number 8. That is Solutions Recovery. They're doing an expansion. They're asking for 1.1 million. So that's the first one on. Well, I should say it's the 4th one, but it's number 8.
See it now.
Asking for 500,000.
I'm sorry, project is 1.1, they're asking for 500,000. They do work with Winnebago County Health and Human Services. We put this as a yellow because they also received that neighborhood grant, which was ARPA funds.
Yeah.
So that caused us pause, and that's why we put that in yellow. I don't know if that is important.
To me, there are other nonprofits that I feel are more important. So I would prefer to support them. If there's money available, then I would come back.
Okay.
You want to agree with that?
Oh,
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
You'd say no because they already received
They've
ARPA.
already received it. They've received it from the NIG. What do you got?
I kind of think that's what he just said, that.
That's what I kind of said.
yeah. Well,
You had a caveat that you'd go back.
Well, you know, don't close the door.
Jeff,
It's not wide open.
they're
There's
still receiving money for that NIG.
I would agree with.
Yeah, I don't
would
know
agree
how
with
that-
I would agree with Tim. He says give half, and I agree with that. I think a nonprofit or entity like this, they're preventing folks from getting further along, and I think they provide a good service to our community. So
So we're still split on that one.
They are now receiving close to $1.5 million that they, for the NIG project. Okay. They haven't finished receiving that, and we're turning around and saying, okay, we're going to throw them another 500,000 for this. I don't think so. I really don't feel right about that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I guess that, I see that NIG grant that was for how much?
1.5 million.
And was that tied to any particular need? Okay, is that the same project?
No, that I do know. It is a different project.
Okay, I can explain a little bit more. So the neighborhood improvement grant, a bulk of it was their treatment center, or not the treatment center, their recovery center where they do their meetings wasn't really ADA accessible. It has their dry bar, their place for people to come and kind of hang out and do their 12-step meetings. This to have a larger footprint there with ADA accessible, so that more people can go and receive the services. A smaller portion of that was for some sober living houses, which the stocks are very far behind. Now, Solutions of Recovery, again, serves people throughout the entire county. I mean, they have people through Menasha, Foxcross, you name it, they've been through there. The one thing that we don't have is more of a respite housing, and this kind of fits that need. So there's, and I don't know how much of the Chrissy Ann project I want to talk about, but one of the things.
Well, it's open. I mean, it's
right.
open.
So Chrissy Ann is looking to go into the beach building, and they're looking for this to help purchase the Chrissy Ann Center where it is now, which will catch us up closer to a desperate need we have for sober living houses. One of the issues we have is somebody comes through the jail or they go through treatment and they have nowhere to go. So there's not that transitional housing for them to go to learn how to live this way a little bit longer, to cover that next 90 days. That's why the need's there. So even though, yes, they got 1.5 million from the neighborhood improvement grant for a separate thing, this need is still extremely far behind. And this would be a tremendous thing, not only helping them to support their mission, but to help get people to recovery in Winnebago County. And I just don't want them to be looked at as the neighborhood improvement disqualifies them. This is somebody who has been a very small nonprofit for a very long time that have done very big things in the last few years that are making a huge impact. This is the recovery coaches that are in our jails, working with our inmate population right now, the ones that got our Vivitrol program from 8 shots in a month up to 25 people. They're a very big partner of us. While we're looking to figure out how we deal with this opioid crisis countywide. Those separate projects.
Thank you. I would.
And we only said yellow because we did not know if that would be a disqualifier. So that was our only, otherwise everything else we had that it fit legacy, geographic, heavy collaboration with the county, came out of COVID.
And we took a step backwards because Nova is no longer accepting female patients in the recovery center.
Yeah, if we're at pop, I mean, it's okay. Right now, this is just elimination round. So
I go 250.
Well, let's talk about the process. If we're using yellow or red or green, maybe we should go and identify the projects that we might support. And then go back again, and because you're gonna have a dollar issue here involved. In other words, Christine Ann Center, if they're at the last page,
Sure.
we got a real.
Why don't we go with the green and pick out of them which ones we're gonna.
That is true.
I was thinking the
That's
same
okay.
thing. Why are we doing green?
Say it again, if you start at half, you go through the list. And you say which ones deserve more than a half and which one don't even deserve the half. It'll make it perhaps easier.
But half of 28 million is 14 million, and we've only got 9.
And that's just community.
Yeah.
That's not even.
That's just community.
We're
Yeah.
still gonna cut some more, but you can do it at a third. It just.
I think they should be on the final list. Let me put it that way. Would that be a good way to put it?
That I would,
Here are your
I
list
wouldn't
down.
worry
They
about
should
the
be.
money right now, unless it's they're asking for 100%, if that would, but I think we just.
We'll get
have
into
to
the
first-
dollar amount.
Yep, later. Because there are some projects that are saying, we need the full amount. If we get half, we can't do the project at all. That would be my concern. So solutions will be a pause. Do you want to just go for the green?
Well, let's go with the green and see what we got for money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then number 11 is the Boys and Girls Club. You're asking for 18, sorry, let me rephrase that. Their project cost is 18 million. The request is 750. This is for the community center. It was a legacy. They're looking for capital. The geographic area really is centered in Oshkosh, and they had other funding. I heard you last time, I think you mentioned this one is a struggle when we're looking at projects that are, what'd you call them, moonshot, buckshot, something that isn't gonna happen?
That's just the
Cheney.
buckshot.
Yeah, that's Dick Cheney, sorry.
I don't know. I think they should be on the final list.
Okay. Next one is Amro Community Center. That's number 7. They are looking for 250,000. This one was a hard yes across the board. They have, this is one where ADRC services are in Amro, or the county is trying to get them in Amro. This one, personally, this one feels like an easy one for us to agree.
For the community center?
The community center.
You said it got shut down.
I know that.
Yeah, that was the old school.
They are looking for a new building.
Or are the people that were pushed out of there, are they going to be able to retain, occupancy there?
Not at that same location. They're looking for a whole new location because that location where they were at, correct?
Is here, but I can tell you that they have gone ahead and looking at a different building. They've done everything, but I don't know, maybe they haven't paid for it all, but they're remodeling it and everything already, so they have found a different.
They've got a new home, so this is something else entirely.
Well, no, they
Paid for that new home.
paid for that new place. They had not all stay in the old community center, that was owned by the city, whatever happened there, I'm not gonna get into that, but, they were asked to leave, and so, this is a new home that they'll have to be going into.
So for 250,000, that clears the board for the old one.
And, yeah, the old one wouldn't get anything, the old one is a part of the city, so the old one, yeah. This isn't paying off the old, this is going towards the new one.
Yeah.
This is the new one.
They were
is
just
not-
renting from the city.
Yeah.
per se.
It's a worthwhile.
I think it should be on the final list though.
Yeah.
100%.
Is this one that you want to have Mary Ann draft a resolution?
Well, now, yeah, we're identifying excuse me, we're identifying the ones in green we can support, then we'll come back and identify the funding.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm okay.
So then can I?
Yes.
So everything, when you're considering each line item under green, if you're saying keep it on the list, that means draft a resolution?
No.
No,
Not yet.
We're just,
so you will say if a resolution is.
Well,
Tom,
if I may, why not, if everybody around the commission agrees that this is a project and we're saying everyone's gonna go line by line, we all agree, why not make it a resolution?
well,
I
you
don't know.
you can, but I don't know if we're there yet with a dollar amount.
Okay,
That's kind of
I
back
gotcha.
to,
nope, that makes sense.
yeah, and
I gotcha.
I agree with that, but if,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying
Gotcha.
this is, but if there is a project that you're saying, okay, we have to fund this one, it doesn't matter. Even if it goes, we have to make sure, then let's draft a
I
resolution.
got it.
Charles is using a last list, and I'm saying you're gonna list it, and it's gonna be on the list eventually. So we just say list,
Sure,
and we'll put it out there on a last list.
okay,
yeah, we're narrowing it down, yeah.
okay.
All right.
Okay, next one, is 55, which is Christine Ann.
Yep,
So then we're not gonna even worry about the money right now.
I feel strongly about that should be on the list.
Yep.
Yep, next page. Fox Valley Data Exchange, that is number 38. So,
I had something to say on this one. When I first looked at this, I didn't think of this as a capital project. But more than I looked into it, the question I asked when I looked around, when I called, I really do see it as a capital project just in the digital world. So this is something for us to kind of connect where our struggles are throughout the county and throughout the region. Although I think it's multi-county, so I don't think this is something we should look at the full amount. We should figure out what portion it is. But in my opinion, I do look at this as a capital ask. It's a tool that doesn't exist. It's a one-time cost to build that tool. They're not asking to help fund maintain it beyond that. So even though it's not brick and mortar, my opinion on this project, it is kind of like a capital project, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
mhm.
You know, as important as a fiber loop,
With that?
that is important as a fiber loop,
I think so. I think, you know,
infrastructure wise.
it's a digital infrastructure. And one of the things that when I look at our human services realm, whether it be public health, human services, veterans, whatever it is, we do a bad job of everybody talking to each other. This is one of those things that would hub to let us know exactly where the issues are, where the resources are needed, so the more I looked into this, the more I thought, okay, this isn't just a program. This is more of a capital, one-time structure, but not necessarily a brick and mortar, I guess is all I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
I think it is designed to replace the life study in many respects that is done every 3 years. That gives us the snapshots that we need to know where to devote resources to. I don't know if Outagamie County has also been asked for a certain amount. I don't know if Calumet but I think it's all part of that 3-county consortium that puts together the life study, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, but you would have a real time.
Yeah.
Instead of every 3 years having to invest in doing this, correct? It would be there.
And I believe it's housed at UWO.
I believe UWO is going to help bring, so if you need to know the number of kids that are, say, homeless, you have to go to DPI. You have to go to a number of different locations to collect all the data to put it together. This is doing that. That's how they described it. They're going to go to all the different areas using UWO to help facilitate and start this work. So it's all in one place. And so if we're talking about something now with a life study, it was from 3 years ago, so it could be completely different, where this will be real time and ongoing.
I just asked them to make the list. You might ask.
I would just ask why this wouldn't go on your budget through Winnebago Health part.
It's because we don't do it. If it was a website or something that we did, then I would, for sure. But it's a county function that we don't do, we won't maintain, we won't do the back end, we won't be facilitating, I guess is the question.
Who will be facilitating it then?
It's its own it's going to become its own nonprofit, or they're in the process of becoming their own nonprofit, so it will be housed as its own entity.
United Way is the community foundation. It's
about funded.
Yeah, Data Care probably is involved. I'm not sure.
John, if you were to take the two, you were to take the ADDA recovery, the solution recovery housing expansion of number 8, and you were to balance that with what you're asking right now, which is the technology data collection. Which one would you take?
No, we're not there yet.
I mean, which one would you look at? They're about the same.
Yeah. Right.
We're not there yet, Morris.
Right.
All we want to do is
make the list.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all we're saying.
We're on the list. Let's let them come and when we get down the list, they can come give presentations. They can make the pitch. We'll decide that.
As long as there isn't a hard no, we'll just keep it on the list.
Thank you.
It's okay if you're a no.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's, so then on the next page, number 65
You took
is,
care of 5 already?
We just did,
I'm just going through grade.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry. No, are you really?
No.
Oh, gosh, I thought. So number 65, people of progression, it is for a building for their nonprofits.
Is it, or is it for remodeling and a lease? Are we upgrading a landlord here? That's my question.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the way,
Right. That I don't know.
I'll read how it says, that is how we interpreted that one. The vision to renovate and move into a building. Well,
333.
I will.
First Street National.
I'm gonna have concerns about that one.
Well, I mean,
Just my opinion.
to upgrade to the place you're renting is
Yes,
that's my concern.
that is,
That's,
at first,
the landlord's
we thought
responsibility.
it was for a building, but now, yeah. I can, I'll put that on more questions needed. We had a lot of questions with the yellows and some of the reds, but I didn't want to have organizations put all the work into answering all this stuff if this was going to be null and void. So I will go back and spend some time and ask some of these questions of the yellows as well. So that one's a question mark. Number 4, Greater Fox Cities Habitat for Humanity. This one we were kind of undecided, but we said kind of green, scattered site housing. So they want money for 10 homes in northern Winnebago County. So on paper, it felt like it fit, but also those locations have not been identified. The people have not been, it's just to put money aside to do that.
Isn't that a little like, I wanna take my 145 and go buy some land because we're gonna make a park in 10 years and we want that piece of property? I mean, it's an advance to buying a piece of property that is nebulous, to say the least.
Well, they don't.
Know what the habitat has to do. That's, they've got to have stakes in the ground before you're gonna put a house on it.
They're gonna have 10 if they want 10 properties tomorrow, they have 10 properties.
Right.
Sure. And the housing stock, affordable housing stock, Anina, as Kate can attest to, is non-existent.
The whole county. I mean,
So if improving the housing stock is one of the important things, especially for low income, this would be okay. As long as there's not a hard no, we'll keep that one on. Nova Counseling, that is number 6. That is an expansion of a building.
is this the Terra program?
But you bring up a really good point on, that's one thing that some of them, I don't know if they are leasing or they own. Number 6. Nova.
I'm only asking for a third, or actually a quarter.
They have their Terra program, which is 8 beds. And I know they're
Where
trying
they
to
sent in a paper story. It wasn't laid out. So we did the best we could to pull out what they were trying to say. So this one was one of the ones where they didn't fill out that application.
Oh, they did.
They sent a paper thing. I mean, story. So I can ask more questions.
What gives me pause on this is they're meeting with a campaign consultant to assess and assist by March of 24. It's a little premature.
To have the funding completed by March of 24.
And that's why I want to know if the two things are similar, because this is one of the things they asked us for is help getting their Terra bed program from 8 beds to 20 beds. And unclear to me if this is that same project. That project was ready to go. I don't know if that's what this is.
Okay.
So that's a good question, Tim.
Okay. Number 9, Oshkosh YMCA. This is for their 20th Avenue childcare expansion. They did say research phase, but the campaign launch in 24, ground breaking in 25, and they thought they'd complete by the end of 26. Number 9.
YMCA serves a lot of people.
I know this for a fact that it's about a 2 or 3 year waiting period to get in that childcare facility. It's extremely hard to get in there.
Oh, yeah.
And if we're gonna follow this with childcare and a future pandemic, I mean, it's one of the bigger crises that we're facing right now.
I would agree. Keep her on the list.
For something in Oshkosh, it's as west as you can get.
Yeah.
That's as far west as you're saying, it's the west side.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's.
What happened to UWO's child?
So what happened to that is the YMCA took that over and opened up 100, and opened up 100 new slots that the university was not using for childcare.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for somebody to run a childcare, the YMCA knows how to do it. That's what I would say. They do. So if the this would be a very efficient way to support childcare in this area. And I know it's Oshkosh centric, but it is 20th, it's right off the highway.
Right on the town line of Belmont. I mean, yeah, people go there from all over.
I agree 100% with the goals and the objectives of this. I'm worried that it's not a shovel-ready project.
Yeah, which we can get more information. Because this was from July. So it could have changed exponentially.
Okay.
Next page. Number 14, Damascus Road. So as Kelly shared, a lot of this information is outdated now because it's no longer in research. They're putting money down. It is a new location.
I would say the first thing is that unfortunately that if anybody's been a part of a presentation with sex trafficking, I don't think it's going anywhere. It's just, if you haven't, it's something that you should know about what's going on in our community. So
it's here.
This, I know this.
Okay. Nina Animal Shelter.
I'm familiar with it, Nina. That place really, really needs support. Anybody ever been there except yourself? Yeah, it really needs enough.
It's 2 double wides connected with a hallway.
Yeah, I mean, it really needs, and it serves a very large area. The towns, so I would think it'd be a good idea to keep it on there.
Just for a fair, sorry. It's okay. For a fair warning, you're going to have to convince me on that one. I have a love for animals too, but I think we got to put our people first. And is this us supporting a private business versus the one thing that is not in our county mission is taking care of people's pets as much as I have a heart for it. I don't see it fitting human services or public health.
And I would piggyback off of some of that and the fact that, other areas have shelters and stuff, and I think they privately fund for those and do campaigns and stuff like that. I don't disagree with your Supervisor Fari.
I will say this, that this originally started off at 3.5, and when the rubber met the road, they're now down to, I think, they've raised about 1.5, and they've dropped it to a $2 million project or so, because it's they're 2.5, but they've raised 1.75, so they're going ahead, and they have the building and the land, or they have the land, and they've done their best to try and fit what they can raise to. But yeah.
But I mean, my only concern is, I said before, Supervisor Brian Stafford mentioned, if we're going to look at this, how does it fit a county program? Even Supervisor Hansen said, how would we cut a check through a department? I just, in my head, can't see what department would cut this check. As much as I like it, as much as I understand it, as much as I believe in it, I don't know how I tie this to a county mission. So I'm not saying it's dead. I'm just saying that you're gonna have to help me get there.
Would you agree to keep it on the final list?
Sure.
So we can address the funding part of it?
Absolutely.
Maybe at a lesser amount.
Sure.
I just wanted to be upfront with my concern.
This is not one that is going across from the county. Okay, that's not.
No, but again, I believe everything that we do, we have to at least try to some type of county function.
Yep.
That's somewhat of a problem also with the two that Katrina and Donald County. They've been putting in on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over, four, five.
Do you need a town of Vinland?
Oh, yeah, town of Oshkosh, yeah.
Sheena.
Yeah, well, that certainly should be prior.
That's interesting.
Kind of weird, like,
Type this, Beth.
They did.
that's weird. Why, I mean, why would it
Your
be
name's on the
Wapaka County, right, or a adjoining county? That's kind of odd.
Okay, so that's the green.
There is something like a sheet.
No, there's not. Town of Oshkosh, it'd be town of Kashina.
Okay.
Kashina, town of Oshkosh.
So I can go to the
Kashina.
yellows, ask some more questions, and some of those reds that we had some more questions.
We didn't finish yet.
We did,
We haven't got to yellow.
we haven't gotten to yellow. So I'm just,
Already 3:30.
right, what do you, if,
I thought we were on number 8, that's right. So,
Is there any of the greens that we definitely want on that we can get on for the next county board? If there's any that we definitely want on as a whole.
so the next board meeting's October 17th.
I believe, yeah, the next one is actually next Tuesday, but obviously that's too soon, so it's the Tuesday of October.
And
well,
what,
we gotta figure the dollar amounts yet.
yeah, what is, so what's the timeline? So for the next meeting to be able to work back if there's,
We have the 28th. I know that's gonna be done on the big day, hopefully, but.
I will be here.
I'll be
Are we
here
going
that
through the
day.
yellow yet today?
do you,
Oh, we're
if-
gonna do that next year.
3:30, I can go through it. I have no
I'm
problem.
just saying, there aren't that many yellows left.
we can go through the yellow and I can tell you the questions or the concerns or the whatever, if you, it's up
I
to
have no
you.
problem with it.
Tim has something, Chairman.
I'd like to dole out some money.
I agree.
Okay, so are there greens that we
I
feel,
think we should take care of the greens now that we've said they're all on the list as possibles. And let's face it, when it gets down to the reds and some of the yellows, there won't be a whole heck of a lot of money left, maybe. And then we've got another list, but we have to start somewhere, or we have to go through the whole shoot match for the next 2-3 meetings and then get at it.
Okay.
yeah, those are the options. Honestly, it's either start chipping away or we just don't dole anything out unless there's anything super urgent. And then we just put all the ones that we agreed on and we start doing the math and.
And we almost have to do it all, right? Because I mean, the chipping away could get us into trouble at the end.
Yeah, I have kind of the same focus. We only got 9 million. So identify projects, then identify the funding. And the funding obviously is going to be an arbitrary point of view. So you're gonna have to adjust your funding. Sometimes people might get half or less, et cetera. So otherwise you're really chopping.
I'd like to at least send something through as a litmus test. And I would like to propose at least the Amro Community Center. It seems to be the one that nobody here had any kind of issues with. I mean, it's a start, Tim.
So a whole lot better than a boat ramp.
Yep.
Right.
At 250 grand?
Right. And see what the discussion comes at the board and.
This is one we can easily justify because it
Yeah.
fits very well. So if we need 2/3 of the vote and the board cannot agree to do this one, are there any other ones that you think would rise to a higher?
Well, I think we got some nonprofits, but I think the test, I agree because there's gonna be some discussion. So.
Now, also after that last meeting, and we were all sat on that, and that's the last meeting, we said that we are gonna spend like around $10 million. And here we are, we're worrying about $250,000.
Well, by the October meeting, we might have some of these answers. We might have more.
Then, but
So-
we're gonna hit it for this month. We're gonna have some to have ready for.
I didn't vote for that because I.
You want a motion?
Well, we talked about it.
Tom, you made the agenda, you know, you've got the agenda. Hey, we don't,
Well, this one, we can't change this one, no, but I'm saying if we don't do it now and we don't have the meeting on the 28th, then pretty soon the next meeting is gonna be here.
You can
No,
have a
I
meeting,
think we
I'll-
need to have the
Right.
meeting on the
Yep.
28th at least, or sometime. It doesn't have to be that Thursday, it could
Please
be.
do not have a meeting because I will not be here.
Well, then we can pass lots of stuff.
You can pass. Absolutely.
Tom, do you want a motion to approve just that one tonight?
If you guys want, I'm with Tim, we've gotta get spending some money, folks.
I'll move to approve, I don't have a problem with that at all. Which one was it? Somebody help me out here.
Number 7.
Number 7,
Number 7.
request from the Amro Community Center.
Number 7.
Yeah. Number 11.
Oh, it's number
Well, I have number 7.
That's the poison.
Identified as number 7, green. The Amro Community Center's request at $250,000.
I will second that.
Okay, seconded for going ahead with the approval of the Armoro Community Center for the amount of $250,000. Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
I would like to abstain. Just because I support it. I just.
Are we putting any kind of?
John Damel abstained from that.
Right. And I don't know if that's the right move. I don't want to cause any.
We should have had roll call.
Yeah, I don't,
Any
I don't-
kind of conditions?
All right, then I'll vote aye, please.
Go ahead, Morris.
Are there any kind of conditions that we place on the bottom of this? That they, fill out this and send in that and tell us the project and all of this other thing? Are we putting those conditions, or are we just making a flat out 250,000?
it's gotta be for the purpose identified before the commission,
And
right?
does it run through ADRC?
What?
No, not this one. no.
That's ADRC.
No, but, or through a county,
It should go through Paul. He's the guy that's gonna be ready to check out.
He's talking about.
I'm talking about, yeah, the department.
The
thing.
department is.
That's what I meant. I don't know how that works. I'm just making sure to cover.
On that money, and he doesn't want to send it out.
I think if we just put,
Depends on what you put in the resolution.
right. Well, Paul likes to follow rules, which is why I like Paul. I think that as long as our whereas we state that the departments that it affects and the departments that we use the building, I think that would be enough.
Yeah, including veterans.
Including veterans,
Yes,
including.
very much so.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Yes.
So.
Is there any kind of clawback provisions if they don't use it the right way, though?
I don't think we need to be law enforcement, you know.
It's not a perfect world.
Well, I know where different ones are coming from. It's like 145,000.
Yeah.
The PPP money, that was just a fraud all over the place, so I want my fingerprints on that.
Mary Ann?
So other than veterans, other than DHS, are there any other county contemplated uses of that building?
Yeah, public health, there's,
Okay.
I'm sure there's a few.
So anything?
Does it have to be part of the business?
Well, I'll have staff reach out. We'll do it all department email and let them know if they have any programs that they can reach out to you. Paul, we're gonna lean on you as what we want. How do we, what are the things we want to make sure that we're gonna have this for? Maybe there are clawback to Morris's point. If eventually we say Habitat Humanity wants to buy these lots and then they don't do anything with it and sell it to a Walgreens someday, there should be something there, right? Yeah.
So when you say use it, define use it.
I can't.
Because are you telling them that we have to have office space there? Everybody
No.
has their own door,
Nope.
their own cubicle?
Nope. Not what I'm saying at all.
They have to buy lots.
Oh, no, this is.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make it hard. I'm just trying to, like Morris is right. If somebody takes it and sells it and profits off it, then.
But to my point, if you're saying you can have this money for the building, but we want to use it. Now, if the using is just sending a person there that has a desk they could sit down and put their computer in, fine. But if you're talking about having,
We were already using the Oshkosh area, or the Amarillo Community Center before it was shut down. Our veteran services was doing satellite hours there every other month. Doing some great work. We had done some things for seniors there. So I don't think that's a stipulation. Yes. Yep.
Is there any other green ones that anybody wanted to bring forward?
So no minimum amount of access that the county would have to the building. Like they should be setting aside 15 hours a week.
No, I think we just,
We're just funding the Amarillo Community Center.
Yep.
And our reasoning is because there's a lot of county function. Yeah. Yep.
Is there any other green ones? Okay, you don't want to spend any more money today?
I'd like to prioritize the funding.
Yeah.
That's my,
I want to let this pass.
So if I put together a spreadsheet for the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks, when would you, do you have to have it before, how much farther before the meeting?
7 days.
Oh, I'm not gonna ever get that done. Are you serious? This is gonna take forever. So you have to have it 7 days?
Posted 7 days before the meeting. However, under the public records law, you can do something within 24 hours, and if there's an emergency, 2 hours. Not that I am recommending you do that.
Right.
I also want to point out, I am not going to be here on the 28th. We are at a conference that has mandatory CLE, so my entire, all the legal team is not going to be here that day.
As long as it's before the next October board meeting, right? 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't, yeah.
Third.
So you want a little later?
Yeah.
So the 2nd or 3rd, because October 3rd would be 2 weeks before the.
That's Tuesdays. Are we staying with Thursdays?
We got something like,
what about the
session on Tuesday?
Thursday, October 5th is available for this time frame.
No, Thursday, October 5th is not available.
I'm looking at the schedule right
At the building.
Here,
Facility.
room.
Room.
Room, but DNF is on Thursday.
But that's at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock in the morning.
I got LCC at 9 too.
I had two at a facilities meeting and this meeting the same day.
75 more.
Huh?
Told Morrissey I'll only get paid 75 for the week.
Yeah, that's.
Which one am I gonna quit?
Well, 75.
No, you just start full for 1.5 for the other.
You drive home between meetings, that's more
So our
mileage.
spirit meeting is on the 5th. I have to get anything that I want to share with the group 7 days prior by the 28th.
Actually, I do the 27th, because if you want to post it and have the agenda.
Why don't you put it on the 4th?
Marion,
So you have.
The room's already taken.
what's the latest we can have a meeting with and still getting on the October agenda for the board?
Well,
How many resolutions is
The
she writing?
week of October 2nd. The week of October 2nd is the latest, because again, the deadline is October 9th to get on the October 17th county board. Okay, so that means the week of the 2nd.
Well, we gotta do the 5th if you wanna get it on the county board for approval.
Yep.
Your question is you can't meet the 7-day timeline.
The 5th is gives her longer rather than the
Well, that'd be
28th.
okay? Can you
Well,
do
to
that?
get it posted, to get the information out there and.
Yeah.
And if you do the 5th, right, even if you get it to us on the 27th, so you have roughly 2 weeks. Is that enough?
So the 5th, okay?
It depends on if I can push out other things.
Or if people respond to it.
Are
Oh,
we
yeah,
looking to get,
If you can't make it, somebody there's three.
are we looking to get more than just this one thing on the October board meeting? Is that the
I
point
think
here?
we,
Is that what we're trying
It's
to
gonna be a
do?
big.
Oh, yeah,
hopefully
we're
done
gonna
with
do
this
all
now.
the green
Right,
and finish that.
for October.
Yeah.
Okay.
because what I'd love to
That's what I'm
do
thinking.
is to have a spreadsheet with all the projects that, and all the money, and then Cassie can just okay, you said that brings our total to this. We're taking this off. That brings the total to this.
Yeah.
Winneconne, now there's 2 million we just took off of Winneconne. We'll keep going through those. So your homework, you all get homework. You're going to earn the $40 you're making today. Look through these and start to think, make your own determinations for the cities, towns, and villages. What one do you think, like, this doesn't fit, or this is important? So then when we go through this, then you're ready with your questions and your stuff.
I think that they helped me get into the.
Yeah.
And
Good.
hopefully next time.
I'll bring the big Post-it notes so Andy can
Yes.
point at.
Set.
Yep.
Well, I would suggest the green that we just agreed to move forward, start set priorities as how you want to fund them.
Yeah.
They might not get all they want. I mean, what do you want to spend on the green group? $3 million? Break it out, whatever your number is.
We can ask them to come and present and ask questions too. We can have those organizations here.
Do we need that or?
There might be a couple we do.
I'm pretty settled on it, but if everybody else needs it, that's up to what you want to do.
I mean, you can have them come up and say a few.
It was bound to happen.
Yeah, we also want to talk at that meeting. I think you guys thought you could have stuff put together for the fire department radios.
Yes.
Yep, we're still working on that.
So by that meeting, should they do
You think you're gonna have it by then or?
Depends. Adam's been in contact with you, yeah? Okay. We're working on it.
So the 5th, are we all set on the 5th? Can everyone make it to the 5th?
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
Here? Can't make it.
You can't make it? You got a 9 o'clock?
That half day. In business, I'm doing, yeah, I'm holding there. Yeah, right.
I'm tentative. We'll see, hopefully.
Well, what other day? I'd like to have all be here.
I got Wednesday the 4th open.
I'm in Washington DC, Monday through Wednesday.
I got Friday the 6th open in the afternoon.
6 would work for me.
Works. Is the room open?
The room's open.
We need 6 for a quorum, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I don't know about the quorum, but yes, the 6th would work.
I don't have my phone here. I don't know what I'm doing.
Paul? If there's any questions, so I'd like to have you here.
I'm available, but again, that's a Friday, so that means if you folks have a boatload of resolutions, I'm gonna have to get it in by Monday at noon.
I work on Saturdays, Mary Ann.
So I work on Sunday.
Yes, I know that.
Yep.
See you on the 6th.
You do.
See you on the 6th.
All right, on the 6th.
October 6th.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
All right.
If I can't make it, I'll go.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second adjourn, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Say no, are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. This has been an education.
I just want to give a thank you. During that meeting, a lot of people don't really know we had a situation out here. Thank you for going and looking at that kid. I really do appreciate that.